to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the board members to remain standing, please, and join me in a moment of silence to consider our purpose. Please remember the men and women of the American military stationed at home and abroad serving the cause of this great country. Thank you. I'll ask the recording secretary to call the roll, please.
Brian Corso.
Here.
Susan Casey. Here. Jessica Decker. Here. Jack Fisher.
Here.
Neil Lustig. Here. Jack O'Leary.
Here.
Jack Rogers.
Here.
Chuck White.
Here.
John Leglansky.
Here.
I would like to announce that the board met an executive session on January 26, 2015, to discuss a real estate issue. Can I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
Be happy to do that, Zach.
Thank you, John.
Delaware Valley School District, the educational leader of our community, strives for excellence and dedication to diverse educational opportunities. Students of all ages are challenged to maximize intellectual, emotional, social, and physical potential. Values, knowledge, and skills are nurtured in partnership with family and communities. Learning takes place in a safe and positive environment that respects individual differences. Delaware Valley offers a dynamic core curriculum enhanced by the creative use of technology. Our commitment to lifelong learning promotes success in an ever-changing global society.
Thank you, John. All right. Item 2 on the agenda is the adoption agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by John Leglansky, second.
Second.
Second by Jessica Decker. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Item 3 is presentations. I will turn over to Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Bell, to introduce tonight's presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pierce. First off, I want to introduce Mr. Chris Ross, the principal of Shahola Elementary, and he has a little special treat for us tonight.
Thanks, guys. A couple weekends ago, fighting off the snow from the week before, we held 2 matinee performances of our drama production, Twinderella. And I'd like to introduce our advisor, Miss Christine Smith, and our musical director, Mrs. Jessica Stokes.
Okay. I'm Cinderella from School Play Twinderella.
And I'm her long-lost brother, Bob.
The play is about Cinderella and her evil and her cruel stepmother and her evil stepsisters.
And I'm the total opposite. I have evil stepfather and 2 cruel stepbrothers.
Still I tell this tale, everyone now pay attention. Tis the twist of a tale I tell, and it well deserves some mention. Tis a tale of twins, and twins are they, separated from each other. Of a maiden fair, so fair they say, their winsome, handsome brother.
My name is Tanner Stevenson, and I played the role of Prince Percy in the play.
I'm Cadence, and I played Princess Petunia in the play.
I'm Jessica, and I played the Countess. I'm Kyla, and I played narrator too. I'm Jaden, and I played Susie. I'm Timothy, and I played Bob. I'm Sophia, and I played Vidyu.
I'm Harlem, and I do stage crew.
I'm Ella, and I'm the cruel stepmother. Remember that. It's not the evil stepmother. It's cruel.
I'm Jade, and I played Cinderella.
4th and 5th graders from Shahola. We're missing about 20 more children. It's usually a program of 30 to 40 children.
Boys and girls, we thank you very much. We're sorry you had to wait an extra week because of the weather. Is this, we did this last year too?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
It seems to be a
we
trend,
found
right?
snow on the opening night.
Yeah. So if you want to go skiing, just ask Mr. Ross next year when they're going to do the Shahola show and guarantee the snow. thank you for coming on the school night. I know you're all dying to get home and do homework.
Sorry, everybody did mine.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
I know, you
Thank
can't say
you.
that. Yeah, she means general.
Okay, our next presentation is regarding the Special Olympics, and I'll ask Mr. Goodrich if he can come to the podium and do the introductions, please.
Hi guys. I'd like to present to you tonight Nicole Lindsley. Nicole's a graduate of DV, and she'll tell
In
you.
2004, I graduated.
Yeah. And Nicole and I go way back to our initial program. She was one of my first skiers. When we started the swim team, she was on the swim program. She does bocce, does all kinds of things. And Nicole was a student, and today Nicole is a Special Olympic Global Messenger. And the Global Messenger has a mission to go out and spread the word of Special Olympics and what it does and how the organization runs and spreading goodwill all around. And she has just been marvelous. She travels all over. Harrisburg, where are you going soon?
I traveled to South Carolina. I traveled also to Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
And we just traveled all the way to Seven Springs for our winter games.
yeah, we just returned from the Winter Games last week. And Nicole did a great job. But enough said. She's got a speech prepared for us.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you. My name is Nicole Lindsley. I graduated from Delaware Valley Delaware Valley High School in 2004. I was part of the pilot program for inclusion in first grade at Dingman, Delaware Elementary School. Since leaving Delaware Valley, I graduated from college at the Commonwealth Technical Institute in Johnstown, PA. I have been working as a Walmart associate for over 6 years, and I've been living in my own apartment with my roommate for the past 9 years. I have an intellectual disability. This is just a label. It doesn't define who I am and what I can become. Labels are for soup cans, not people. When I was 8 years old, I started competing in Special Olympics. I competed in track and field events through my years in the Delaware Valley School District. I started competing in aquatics after high school. I am still competing and have medaled at the state level at winter games in alpine skiing, at summer games in aquatics, and at fall games in bocce. I contribute a lot of my success to the amazing support of my family and my support staff that helps me with my everyday life skills. The education I received while in the Delaware Valley School District, both in and out of the classroom, was invaluable. Tell me and I will forget. Teach me and I will remember. Involve me and I will learn. Benjamin Franklin. As part of competing in Special Olympics, there are rules and requirements, but there is no judgment. Special Olympics gives me a place of belonging. Special Olympics is not just about competing. It's about friendship, independence, and teamwork. Being part of Special Olympics has given me the self-confidence to become an independent adult, to have have a job working in the community, and to achieve the goals I set for myself. Becoming a global messenger for Area Peace Special Olympics last year is one of those goals, and one I take very seriously. I represent the idea of volunteerism, the idea of paying it forward, and being good role models on and off the field of competition. Currently, I am volunteering with the Milford Gardening Club and at the Soup Kitchen in Port Jervis. Our group of Special Olympic athletes is working on other volunteer opportunities in our Pay It Forward campaign in the effort to say thank you and give back to the community that has given so much to us. This is what Special Olympics is all about, and being an athlete has shown me. I would like to say thank you to the Delaware Valley School Board, administration, and teaching staff for your long-term and continued support of Area Peace Special Olympics. Because you involved me, I learned. Thank you and good night.
Nicole, thank you so much. We're very happy.
You're welcome.
We're happy you're doing well, and we're very proud to say you're a DV grad.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, Mr. Blom, try to top that.
I was just gonna say, I don't think you could follow the cutest kids in the world and then that speech. My goodness. This year, when we started the school year in the high school, we decided to ask our students if there was any clubs or activities they felt we were lacking in the high school, and we also asked our staff if they felt there was any stagnancy in the course offerings that we have. And what we got was a lot of feedback from a variety of sources, both kids and our staff. And I think we've put together a really robust list of new options for next year in the high school with a lot of diversity in what departments they're in, as well as the way in which the courses are going to be presented. So I was just going to speak briefly about the new courses that we're going to offer in the high school next year. And then I thought at the end of that, if you have any questions or wanted any more information about them, please feel free to ask. The first course is actually one that we started this year. When Dr. Hornberger was around, he talked about diversified occupations a little bit. This is our 8th career and technical education program. Very similar to co-op in the sense that we have students who take a course during the regular day of the high school, and then they leave the high school and go and work in the community. Diversified occupations, the students, in order to be eligible, they have to work in a field other than in one of our other career tech options. So for example, a student wouldn't be able to go and work in a garage because we have automotive technology, but they're able to work in a bakery because we offer food services, but we don't offer baking specifically. So right now we have 5 students working in different fields out in the community, and we're hoping next year to see even more. Freshman seminar. We got a lot of feedback that one of the things we could improve upon in the high school is the transition that kids have from 8th to 9th grade. Sending middle schools with 2 very different cultures, we thought we could do more to integrate them into the high school while they're conducting their freshman year. So what we're going to do next year is offer this course to all students. It's going to replace right now our family and consumer science offering in 9th grade, because we can incorporate the standards for that course into other courses, and it allows us to free up room in everyone's schedule to take this. What we're currently doing right now is our teachers are providing us feedback on where they see weaknesses in our freshmen in terms of what we could do to help better acclimate them to the high school. But we're also going to be asking freshmen what they feel like we could have done a better job doing. What could we have done to make them feel more comfortable in the high school their year? And then we're going to ask seniors, what did they learn a little bit too late? You know, people like Brandon, what could we have done 4 years ago that took you a little bit longer to learn? And then those are the types of things that we're going to incorporate into this course. So it's going to be offered throughout the year. Students will take it once, but what we are teaching the kids in the first 45 days, if they had it, might be different than what we're presenting in the last 45 days of the year. So it's going to be a very living, breathing curriculum for our freshmen. We're very excited about that. In the art department, one of our art teachers proposed starting AP Studio Art, a very interesting advanced placement course. There's actually 3 different areas that students can specialize in: 2D design, 3D design, or drawing. Instead of a traditional AP test at the end of the course, the students actually submit a portfolio with over 20 pieces of work to College Board, and that's how they're assessed on their overall effectiveness in an AP course. We hope that it's an opportunity for our more serious art students to get the experience of putting together a professional portfolio before they go into college. And also the feedback we received is that competitive art schools like to see a portfolio like this as kids are going through the application process. And our art department's had a really successful year this year, so we felt the time was right to start it. In the business department, this course came about through a student as well as one of our business teachers. It's more of a college level course, but it's going to be an elective offered for students grades 9 through 12. Video game design, where kids will learn how to design video games. It's a very up-to-date curriculum. It's something that we're excited about. We think there's going to be a lot of student interest in it. And I think offering it for kids anywhere from 9 through 12 will get a wide variety of students in it. So kids that want to go into this field will have the opportunity, but they can take it early enough to also take our computer programming and computer science courses in our math department. Mathematics, we're starting an introductory statistics course next year. Right now we offer AP statistics, but we don't have that middle range statistics course. And most kids, when they go to college, the feedback we got was they have to take statistics. And a lot of our academic students, you know, the 85% that go on to college, they go from Algebra 2 and Trig to pre-calc, and then maybe calc as a senior, but they never see statistics unless they take AP stats, which we have relatively small numbers in. So our idea was, for the students that are successful in Algebra 2 and Trig, but maybe don't want to go the mathematics route and go towards pre-calc and calc, this is a middle ground for them. It's a course they could take that will prepare them for college, as well as set them up if they're a junior, maybe senior, they want to take pre-calc, or they want to go towards college algebra or math modeling. It's just another step for kids that maybe want a different path in our mathematics options. Physical education. We currently have what's called phys ed elective in our schedule. It's usually for seniors that want to take an extra gym class. Our new department chair felt very strongly about removing that class as it doesn't really have a curriculum, it's just an extra gym class essentially, and putting in 3 really solid physical education courses. Physical fitness and training will be offered to students 9 through 12, where they'll learn fitness techniques, a lot about healthy eating, healthy habits, healthy lifestyles. Officiating team and individual sports, that'll be for sophomores through seniors as an elective, where kids will learn how to go about being an umpire in a little league, how to be an official for PAL, learning those skills so that they can give back to the community and function in those roles while they're still in high school. Once they turn 18, they'll be prepared for that. Leadership and adventure education, this will be for juniors and seniors if they wish, but it's a course that teaches leadership strategies to our high schoolers. The culminating activity in that course is going to be a trip to East Stroudsburg, Stony Acres Challenger course, where they learn, they do team building activities. It's a rope course. It's really exciting, and we're hoping that all 3 of these options are going to be very attractive to our students. Science, we're adding a course called Interactive Biological Science. What it's going to be, now that the Keystone Biology exam, which is our weakest exam in the high school, is a graduation requirement, we wanted to have a course that could be offered to provide remediation to students that aren't successful on that test the first time. And we thought, instead of offering it as a ground and pound drill type course where they're just taking notes and reading out of a textbook, again, this is going to be an interactive course where they're going to take the course essentially either on an iPad or on a Chromebook, and the entire course is going to be digital. Our department chair, Pete Supko, is putting that course together currently, and we're hoping it's a jumping off point for making more digital choices in both the high school and the middle school, where more classes are being taught electronically as opposed to traditional textbooks. So we're very eager to see how that's going to go. The last new course we're proposing is called Social Problems. We offer sociology right now for dual enrollment credit in the high school. It's a very popular half-year elective with George Gelderman. We usually have 12 to 13 sections of it a year. In a 90-day course, he's not able to get to the rest of the material you would get in a college-level sociology class. So he wanted to start Social Problems, which would take sociology and just expand upon it further. Again, another very traditional course in colleges. We're hoping to see colleges that would offer dual enrollment opportunities for our students, both in social problems and especially in introductory statistics. We've already heard back from some colleges that are going to provide credits to our students who are successful. So we're trying to meet the needs of our students as well as recognize what challenges they face in college and just trying to provide the best product to them while they're in the high school. So is there any of those courses that need some elaboration? Correct.
This is a great use of assessment data, I think, for data-driven decisions. I think involving the students is going to get the students more excited actually about the curriculum they're going through. I think these data-driven decisions are exactly what we need in the high school, and I wish it was offered when I went through, a few of these other kids went through the school system. So
we've got some feedback from some seniors in some of these options that they're a little disappointed. So we apologize for that.
How about staff to fill all this? I mean, you're going to get it in-house. We got to look outside. Where do you find some of the specialties that go with these subjects?
Great question. We're fully prepared to staff them because most of the options here are electives, and what we're hoping every year when we make the master schedule, we feel a lot of strain in family and consumer science and art as it is, where we will have in our cooking classes 27, 28 students, which is very busy for a kitchen for one teacher. We're hoping that these courses will actually alleviate some of that strain in those electives and come into these electives. But because there's so many of them, it's going to be spread out that we would not need to add any staff. It's going to be housed entirely by existing staff. The only question and my trepidation is when the numbers come in, how popular are they going to be? Because that'll be interesting to see is how many kids are going to want to take some of these classes.
I'm really glad to see that you put some thought into courses for students that aren't necessarily the high-end student, taking 7 or 8 AP courses. We also need some new offerings for those students who may be struggling passing the biology test, et cetera, maybe, not necessarily a calculus student. So I'm really glad to see those offerings. I thank you for that.
Absolutely. I think it's nice to see, there's obviously a great deal of time and thought in the process that went up to the end game of concluding each of those courses, which is nice. When Bill Greenlaw sat up here, you hear the words continuous improvement many times, and any organization that commits itself to that will always improve. So, I think this process certainly represents that, and I applaud you for the end result there. I just said to John what you were going through, I said, good, and especially the last one, I thought that was great. So,
well, Gina, Jim, and John, when I said, there's a couple of ideas for new courses this year, and they were like, oh, a couple new courses. I said, give 2 trade, couple new courses. And when I laid 8 in front of them, same questions. Do we have the staff? Do we have the resources or these things? And they were completely supportive of the just continuing to grow and try to get better and offer the best product for our kids possible. So I'm really excited to usher it in.
The one that confuses me is the freshman 45, where every 45 days the curriculum's slightly different depending on, if I was going to be a freshman, can I pick the 4th quarter? How do you decide that?
Unfortunately, it's going to be based on the way the class is scheduled in the master schedule is where it fits into their health and phys ed, because that's 135 days. So it might be the first marking period, it might be the 4th. It's going to be automatically determined because everyone needs to take those classes as well as this one. So it's a marking period fit where there's a hole in every student's schedule in the high school. So I think it's more on us to be adaptive in terms of what the kids need so that we're not teaching kids on day 179 the same things we taught them on day 1. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks, Brian. I just want to announce before I start moving again, there's a nice thank you note in my folder that's addressed to the board from a group of special education teachers thanking us for what we do on behalf of the district. And there's also some handmade cards as well from the students. So I have it at my desk. I'll just hand it down. The board can take a look at them during the meeting. Item 4 on the agenda, is the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on January 15, 2015, the special meeting for general purposes held on January 26, 2015. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brian Carso, second.
Second.
Second by Chuck Fike. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain, I wasn't at the January.
Noting Sue's abstention, the motion does pass. Item 5 is reports. Item 5A are the administrative reports, and item 5B are the financial reports. Are there any comments on the administrative, financial, or, and there will be attendance in there as well? Absence of enrollment charts.
I have a few questions on the financial, if that's all right.
Okay, 5B.
In the bills for payment, the first one is Yanuzi under the capital reserve fund for $98,000.
That is, last summer, we had a very significant HVAC project district-wide that we did in April. And they're still completing some of the work that was done in the building.
All right, what building was that?
There were many buildings,
It was every building but the primary
in the elementary, of course.
and this elementary school.
This,
5 buildings.
okay. And then, under the construction fund, the 2014 construction fund, there's $1,463,993 to Exact Abstract. I know they're a title of the trust company, but what's that about? That's our closing costs?
That's to buy the land in Matamoros.
That's
insurance,
Oh, yes.
that's the title insurance and the closing.
and the search and the closing, yeah.
Okay.
On that Matamoros project.
And that's all on the Matamoros project. That's it, thanks.
Anyone else? 5A and B? Okay, 5C then are committee reports. Budget, Finance, and Audit, Jack Fisher.
Nothing to report.
All right, Education, John Robuski.
Before our next meeting, we have an education committee meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. And that's going to be here in the district office. We're going to be reviewing textbooks for next year. We've discussed the need to update our K-5 math and reading. And are there any additional subjects we're looking at, Gina?
We're going to be looking at the high school and some of the books that we're looking at. One middle school social studies. I know there's maybe statistics. There are about, at the top of my head, 5 or 6 different books.
In addition to the K-5.
In addition to the K-5. And the K-5, I'll give you an update next week, but we have a lot of research to do. We've begun it, but we really want to take our time. We want to really dive in deeply, do a very good evaluation using a very extensive set of criteria. So we won't have any results. We really need to take our time. It's a huge investment in our students. So we have to make sure we're going in the right direction. But I will give you a full update.
Thank you, appreciate that. So that meeting will be in the district office.
John, can you tell me when is that next regular meeting before the next regular meeting? Or next
No, it's the work session, and that is March 12th.
Yeah, terrific, thanks.
Anything else on education? Okay. Brandon, I missed you, my apologies. So I'll go back to you.
No problem. Just to reintroduce myself, I'm Brandon Morley, I'm the student council president over at the high school. Just to give you an update on some projects specifically that student council are taking part in right now. I know tomorrow night we'll be hosting our semi-formal dance over at the high school. It's only open to juniors and seniors, so it's a little bit more of an exclusive thing. We're also getting ready to start our Pennies for Patients collection, where all the money that we collect from donations goes to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So I know that's a big collection that we usually do, and it always feels good to give back to a great society like that. And I know we usually always pick like a local hero that is suffering and that gets help from Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So it's always nice to give back to someone locally. I'm not quite positive who our local hero is yet this year, but I know we always pick someone locally. We always do homeroom collections, and then we always try to have one bigger event that students could pay to get into. That way the money would go to the donation. I know this year we had a lot of interest in having a staff versus students basketball game. For some reason, students always like to verse their teachers at athletic events. So we are looking forward to doing that. To move over to the sports realm, girls and boys swim teams just we're both fighting for league titles. I know the girls team this past week did achieve, and they obtained the Lackawanna League title. The boys swim team unfortunately lost the title by 8 points, but they had a great season. Wrestling is moving towards districts, I know, this weekend. They're expected to do very well. And the cheer team just recently went down to Florida. I heard they did very well in nationals. They ranked about 14th out of about 60 to 65 cheer squads. So they did relatively well down there. Just some things in clubs and activities. I know personally I can say the drama club, we're very excited to get rehearsals up and moving. We're really moving along towards our show in April, which is Anything Goes. That'll be the 10th, 11th, and 12th of April. I know we always get excited to see things rolling along and getting moving. And I just have to say too, I have to thank Mr. Ross for bringing his kids in, just because it's always seeing kids that perform at the elementary and middle school level. This being my last year in the high school drama club, it always makes me feel fortunate of what I've gotten to do and express myself through this club. And it's always great to see that we have these younger kids coming up through it. So there's always going to be somebody to take my place, at least in the drama club. Some other clubs and activities, I know Relay for Life, they're starting up and they're planning. Usually that takes place in late May, early June. One thing that I thought was really interesting was just recently, I think within the past 2 weeks, 2 high school students were selected to be part of an all-state jazz band ensemble. I know they're the first 2 ever in DV history to be picked for this certain ensemble, so I thought that was pretty cool. And out of all the people that are going to this ensemble, we're the only school that is sending 2 students rather than 1. And then I think one of the most exciting things that I'll share with you tonight is about the Rotary Exchange. We actually have 3 students from our high school taking part in the Rotary Exchange for next school year. We have Julia Cuevas, she's going to Argentina, Megan Kelly going to Norway, and Faith Jager going to France. So I think that's always a pretty cool thing, our school being able to send students to other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Any comments?
When's your penny drive over?
We usually will start at the beginning of March and we usually go to the end of the month.
We should bring our pennies.
Bring your pennies to the meetings.
I always felt that when I was writing this out to talk, I feel bad that these are all things that we're planning on getting started or stuff that's happening in the future. I go, it's been hard to consider. We haven't had a full week of school. I know as a student, I find that enjoyable. I can only imagine how frustrating it is to administrators and teachers.
I hadn't noticed.
I thought it was funny. We come back to school this past Tuesday, and I mean, exactly, I know how frustrating it is on teachers, especially students coming back too. We come back on Tuesday, and I made the joke. I have 4 teachers being like, "Oh, you have a test tomorrow." And I'm like, well, I get it, because you got to make up on the time. So that's what I said. I felt bad. All this stuff is starting. We're getting stuff going. Just because with the lack of school time in this horrible winter, it makes it hard to get a few things done.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
No problem. Thank you.
Facilities Committee, Chuck Pike.
All right, I have a few dates to announce, some construction project bid openings. March 4th, we'll be opening bids for the new elementary school. March 5th, opening bids for summer 2015 capital improvement projects. That's at Dingdale Middle School and Shaw Elementary School gym floors. Dingdale Middle School girls locker room renovation, and Dingdale Middle School bathrooms renovation. And on April 7th, the opening bids for the high school gym, pool, and wrestling room project.
It's at 8:30 in the morning? What time is it?
I don't.
Something with
What, the bids?
How many bids? When we open the bids?
I'll tell you, the March 4th for DVES is 2 o'clock in the 11-12 cafeteria. The March 5th bids for the summer CapEx is 10 a.m. here at the DO. And the April 7th bids for the high school project is 2 o'clock in the high school 11-12 cafeteria.
Any other comments? All right. Health, safety, and wellness, Jack O'Leary.
Sean Giblin and his student wellness club, the high school student wellness club. I went to one of their meetings. And they were pretty much involved in raising money to send to the American Heart Association, and they wanted to do it in the name of George Berkowitz, who was a senior this year, died at the beginning of the school year. So they're very Tell you what, they're very impressed. I do a lot of fundraising. It's a very impressive group of young children, young students, I should say. I can't wait till some of them graduate so I can use school. Because they're very good at this. They kind of, this kind of came up at like the last moment, so they ordered some shirts. They sold all of those shirts out. They ordered another batch of shirts on a Tuesday, which they were kind of really going blind. They didn't know if they could sell them. They were doing it blindly. They sold them all out. I got to the basketball game, the Red Out event. I have a note here that said it was 2,000, but I'm thinking that Sean told me it was 2,800. I know they sold more, they donated more money than any other schools donated to the American Art Association in these Red Out events. So it was great. The basketball game didn't come out that well. But it was good to see. They did, I didn't get there in time to see the event that they put on before the basketball game, but I understand it was all about teaching about wellness and CPR stuff. You know, it was all really good stuff. But I was very impressed with this group, and I look forward to sitting in on their things again. You know, because I sat there and they gave me some really good ideas, and I thought I was good at fundraising. These young kids really, really impressed me. They're a nice young group of people. So I was very impressed with their work, and it was nice that they did it for. Because I know the mother and the grandmother and little 3-year-old sister of George Berkowitz, they were there. And they were very touched by what was done for their family, you know, and how much these young students really cared for their co-classmate. So it was a very nice event. That's it.
Jack, any comments? Board? All right. Negotiations. I will report that negotiations met with the teachers union on January 29th, and negotiations are ongoing pending agreement. The negotiations committee met with the support staff union on February 19th, which is today, before the meeting at 5 p.m., and negotiations are ongoing pending agreements. Policy, Sue Casey.
So I'm sorry I missed the January meeting. It was my policy to spend some time in Texas, so. So what? Yeah. So the 11 policies that you reviewed in January and were on the agenda in the second meeting in January are up for adoption tonight. I don't know if there was anything pending on any of the 11. My guess is not, otherwise they wouldn't be on the agenda tonight. A special note though is that 317.1, the educator misconduct, was brand new. And I didn't see any changes from your discussion, so.
There's only one minor thing. I'm sorry, I didn't get to that. We got to have negotiations on the volunteer, on the school volunteer policy 916. We added one line in red on page 2. In addition, volunteers have to do all the clearances like the employees do, but there's also a new thing called an Act 24 clearance form that they have to fill out. So you'll see in the policy, we just stuck in one additional item. It says complete an Act 24 clearance form. That's added along with the traditional Act 34, Act 151, FBI, all those other things.
Nothing else since they saw it in January.
That's it.
I did go through all the policies. Now that you've consolidated the 3s, 4s, and 5s into the 300 series, we are just under 250 policies as a school district. And our policy to try to make sure we review all of them within 5 years by getting to a couple of segments of policies, 100s and 200s are up next, is pretty aggressive when the 100s and 200s have over 100 policies by themselves. But the good news is if we're at 250 policies over 5 years, 50 a year, maybe we only need to do 4 or 5 a month instead of 11 like we're doing now, because you really do need the time to read them. I did go through on the website all 250 policies and check the dates and made sure they all matched with what was our current approvals. And we have 2 policies that are beyond the 5 years. So I've asked John to look at policy 000 and 919, and we'll start with those because they are more than 5 years old. And then we'll get on to the 100 in no particular order.
We have a couple others that are hanging out there. They're within the 5 years, but we've been waiting on some information and things like that. And one of them is about the school report card, which we really, now that we've transitioned to the school performance profile, SPP, we need to either rescind it or revise it completely. So that'll be another one. That's the 919
Yeah.
one. Yeah, but we have a couple others that are lingering out there, the data for each one, so we'll get those to you.
Yeah, there was 806 and 818 were up for review in January, but they never made it to the agenda, so they must have been pulled for
That's
some
nice.
reason, and
Yeah.
they're still on the list, but they're not so old, we have to like rush them to the top.
Julie had this catch-all folder, we just kept telling her, throw it in there, because we're waiting on something from Harrisburg. So she pulled it out today, so we'll get those ready for March.
Okay, that's it.
Very impressive spreadsheet too, with the policies and the due dates. And
Hey,
when I saw that, I was,
I'm nothing but data, you know me.
I think I fell short the last 3 years. I don't know.
No, I just was checking up on you, Zach, to make sure that you, I did get through all of them.
One of the nice things is, I know we talked about this before, but by summer, we'll have all our policies integrated in our board docs. Since we already use board docs, it'll just be another tab in here, and we can see all of our policies, and they'll be able to be updated right here, and we can review them. It's just, it'll just be more convenient, so, hopefully we'll do that by midsummer. And anything else on policy? Okay, liaisons, only 20 pins.
I attended last month's meeting. We were in executive session for about an hour and a half discussing contracts, which I can't discuss, but then we had about a half-hour meeting that was just very general, so there's nothing really to report from that either.
Did you have a chance to talk about your?
But I have to say, finally, I drove down, there was no rain, there wasn't any hurricanes, sleet, nothing. However, I encountered the worst sun flare ever.
That's what you wish for, right?
Oh, right, that's the sun, but it was blinding, so one of these days it's gonna be a perfect trip down, come spring.
When they open those ramps, it'll be direct off 33. You can go
Whoa.
right to the IU.
From here right to the IU door, yes.
Yeah, some of you guys have been waiting 20 years for each. Getting right off.
Going that detour.
Yeah, when the bridge was
The
out
bridge is
last
out, you
year,
have to go around.
20 years.
All right, legislative and Pam as well.
Well, the big news is the House of Representatives, the U.S. House, passed the Elementary Education Secondary Act reauthorization bill. So I guess we'll be hearing a lot about that in the future, and it still has to move on and get more approval from the Senate. And the Senate has passed the tax exempt status bill, which is encountering a lot of debate. And that's a bill that, if it passes both, the entire Congress, it would make it much easier for different entities to become a nonprofit status and then not have to pay property taxes. So you can see why there's a lot of debate about it.
If you have any questions about that Senate Bill 4, just talk to Bill. Don't contact the legislators, because we've been in close contact with them and we don't want to say the wrong thing. So just go through Bill. Bill has talked to literally anybody and everybody between here and Harrisburg in the last 2 weeks, and has beat the bushes. And Stephanie DiVittori, who's our attorney that helped us with the Mazzifa case, crafted a beautiful letter that went to every senator and caused a caucus. That caucus was probably about 2 hours yesterday. So we're on the radar again. Delaware Valley's on the radar again. But we're educating people left and right in Harrisburg.
Excellent.
Very complicated. It's a very complicated scenario.
Is there a beautiful letter worth sharing that we could read it?
It's going to be the weekend review tomorrow. Okay. Yep.
And our Region 8 Director, Daryl Schaefer, asked me to inform board members that PSBA is seeking members interested in serving on the PIAA. Either there are 12 committees, you could serve on one of those committees, or as a board member, if anyone is interested in that. That's all I have at this time. I don't see any volunteers.
Sue Shore's not here, so
Is there any hope with all of that legislation that they'll come out with a definitive, seriously definitive, what is tax exempt? Is there any hope in any of that?
It depends how the sausage gets made.
Yes.
Is that comforting?
I said definitive twice.
Is that
I did say
comforting?
definitive twice. That's not definitive, is it?
It's actually too early to tell. State Senator Scavello, is it Scavello? That just called for a commission to create some standards, because it sounds like after we won the state Supreme Court case, different municipalities are interpreting it differently. So something might be taxable in one township, and the same kind of operation, maybe it's an urgent care outpatient provider or something, might not be taxable in another township. So it sounds like in Western PA, there's a lot of issues going on with healthcare. It's not about us in the camps, but we've been dragged into it. So,
We're first in the state.
and we're working now to educate them about what are the, man, they're worried about healthcare in the West, and they're not realizing what it may do regarding camps in the East. So we're trying to educate everybody about what's going on. And Mike Pfeiffer and Lisa Baker are working with us in both houses to try to make sure enough people know what's going on. So we're not kind of, the unintended consequences. They didn't intend to hurt us, but if they don't do it right, they will hurt us.
One of the key things is these camps are not, when we won in court, it's because the camps did not relieve the government of a burden. However, if it reverts back to Act 55, which was something that's passed years ago, then we may lose, or they could end up being tax exempt, which could be collateral damage from whatever the legislators are trying to do. So it's very, we need to have the prong in there that they must relieve the government of burden, or there could be issues. Then you take the hospital, I think it's gonna open up a big can of worms, and we'll see what happens with the whole thing, and the legislators want to control it, they don't believe the courts should control it, but when the courts interpreted our decision, that's why we won, because they did not relieve the government of any burden, so we need to have that stay there. But you framed it very well, what is going to be the end result, and some legislators are saying, I want to know the criteria before I vote, other ones are saying, we want to take control of what it's going to be, and then worry about the criteria later, which makes everyone nervous, so.
Yeah, it makes you feel like, we gotta pass the bill to know what's in it, remember that? In Washington?
That's what I'm afraid of.
That's what it
I
feels
wanted
like.
Definitive, and was there a hope of getting that?
Right.
And from a process perspective too, since it passed last session, and now it's passed the state senate, and it goes over to the state house where it was passed last session, then it passes again, presumably if they passed it last time, they pass it again, it automatically goes on the primary ballot, so it goes out for referendum.
So then it comes down to details of what are those details
that's why we're
gonna be
talking
to
this
protect us or
criteria.
not? So that's why we're out there and we're trying to get Stephanie in front of an audience and, in addition to her letter, but get her in front of an audience with Scabella's commission, so we can really educate them before they make the ground rules. So,
I think we did mention this, but Stephanie DiVittorio, for the record, is the district's attorney from Roads and Sign in the one Pacific case in the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. So we did mention that, then it's on the record now. Special education, then Pam and Jessica.
Maria had sent out the special education plan that that her and her team had worked on. And you said that will be up on the website for everybody to see?
I believe it's up today, yes.
Okay. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what it
Sure.
was?
The special education plan is a part of the district's comprehensive plan. Special education is due May 1st. The comprehensive plan isn't due till November, but special education timing is tied to IDEA funding. So we had to get ours done ahead of time. So Gina and Peg and Jim and I and our team will be working on the comprehensive plan moving forward. The plan encompasses, special ed plan encompasses certain sections that are based on regulations. For example, we have to deal with educating students in the least restrictive environment and making sure that students who are placed outside the district are appropriately programmed for, that sort of thing. So the special ed plan deals with all those separate sections.
And it's on Chris, it's on the special ed page, right?
Yes.
The plan's on the special ed page.
Yeah, it'll be there for 30 days.
And I just had a couple of comments. It was interesting to see that compared to state averages, our percentages were 2.6 less percentage-wise than the state average for children with autism or with emotional disturbance. But what I found interesting is we are 7% higher for students with specific learning disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that generally has been that way? Or?
No, actually our percentages for students with autism were higher than the state
Well, at
average
one
for a
time,
period
right.
of time, right? So it's very interesting. And I was very surprised to see that because based on the number of students we have in our autistic support programs now compared to what we've had in the past is significantly higher. So I think that speaks to the identification of students with autism across the state and across the country, that I just think those numbers are so much higher.
Okay.
But our numbers in that program are much higher than they have been, and our numbers in learning support are lower than they have been. So it's really interesting to see how that plays out across the state.
I was being very hopeful there, but that explains that. And Maria, in the report, you also mentioned that as we look outside the district for mental health services, it's becoming more of a challenge to find placements for students who need services beyond here, especially since agencies that were within an hour driving distance have closed. And one thing that I would remark on is that from the intermediate unit perspective, I think I had mentioned this a couple of meetings ago, that they're seeing more students with more involved mental health issues than ever before. So what's happening, the programs that we do have, are filling up fast, which makes it difficult for us because there aren't always slots available, for our children. So that is something in the future you may be bringing to this board.
Well, we've been working on that for a long period of time. The problem is, and as you know, we've explored bringing a partial hospitalization program here. The problem is you have to maintain 8.5 students per classroom in order to make that financially work for the intermediate unit to run a program here. We don't have 8.5 students at any one level in order to support that. Other school districts rely on other schools to bring their students there. But we've reached out to our local school districts within the intermediate unit, and no one would be willing to send their students all the way up to Delaware Valley. So we could not get 8.5 students to make it work here. There's also concerns as to whether DPW would support another mental health program in this area, because according to DPW, we have too much mental health services here, which is ironic because we have no mental health services here. So it doesn't look very hopeful for getting a partial in our school district, which would be a perfect thing for our students, but we just won't have enough students to do that.
Maybe if the half the kids scaring off.
And I was surprised to see that we have 68 IAs.
Instructional assistants, yes. The majority of those are part-time, they're 4-hour instructional assistants, they're not full-time.
A lot of trainings to go on.
It is, they're all required to get 20 hours a year of in-service, so we do an awful lot of training with them.
Maria, on the program positions at the end, the caseloads, are those their actual caseloads or potential caseloads?
That's what we currently have this year.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, that was as of the December 1st child count, that's what those numbers are based on.
Actually, it was a very positive report if we can find something positive. I mean, not that it's negative, but it's not always the most interesting in reading. But what I really liked is at the secondary level to see all of those little programs.
And our highlights, yeah.
The highlights, yes. The buddy program. And
yeah, Diane Bixby does an amazing job with doing things within the school district to promote opportunities for special needs kids at the high school.
So it's nice. Thank you.
The 8.5 students per, is that means we have to have 8.5 students from first grade all the way through 12?
No, for the partial you're talking about?
Right, for the
yeah.
partial.
You have to have within a certain age group. Typically, you would have a lower elementary group, which may be K to 3. Then you would have an upper elementary, which would be 3 to 5 potentially. Within each one of those programs, you would need to maintain 8.5 students in order for Medicaid, which picks up the mental health piece of it, in order for it to be financially wise for them to maintain the program. Otherwise, the program can't support itself.
And we're nowhere near 8.5, right?
No, in fact, we have 10 kids total in our emotional support kid class right now at the elementary level, and that spans kindergarten to 5th grade. So, and not all of them are appropriate for partial at all.
Right.
We do have a couple of kids who are in partial right now, but nowhere near the ability to get 8.5 that would be worthwhile bringing the program here.
And something I learned today, I didn't know, in order to be eligible for that partial hospitalization, you have to meet 5 criteria, correct?
No, you have to have Axis 5 diagnoses, but you have to have a psychiatric recommendation that says that it's required that you have school-based partial hospitalization.
So, I mean, it's not easy just to put any student in there.
No. You have to reach a mental health threshold to be eligible for that program.
Item 5D is the superintendent's report.
Okay, I have 6 really quick things for you, I promise. First, I had the pleasure of meeting our new Secretary of Education, Pedro Rivera, yesterday in Harrisburg. We had a small group. It was just the superintendents from RIU and in a conference room at the Hilton in Harrisburg. And we had an hour with him. And a very interesting guy. His roots are in the Philly school system, but the last 6.5 years he's been the superintendent of the Peg. How do I pronounce that?
Lancaster?
Lancaster. He also, because I say Lancaster. Lancaster. Very intelligent guy. He understands, being a sitting suit, he understands our issues. But he is part of a Democratic administration team with a House and Senate that are Republican. So we'll see what he gets done and what he doesn't. But he certainly understands. He's a K-12 guy. He's not, no offense, Brian, but he's not a higher ed guy. So, he gets what we're in. And very, very, very interesting guy. Second, the Rachel's Challenge Public Assembly, the public workshop that was snowed out last month is going to be next Wednesday, the 25th at 7 o'clock in the high school auditorium. So it's next Wednesday. I just wanted to clarify in the Courier article last week, when there was the article about the background clearances, it said that the school district would pay for background clearances for the employees. That's not correct. The employees have to pay for their own background clearances. Snow day update, we've used 7 out of 10. We are also on a 2-hour delay tomorrow morning because tomorrow is going to be the coldest day we've seen in quite some time. I always tell people, if you look on your iPhone and if the little message going across the top is orange, we're coming in. If it's red, where it's an actual warning, then that means we'd be in a delay because that's a whole nother ball of wax when you get into the drop from the advisory to the warnings. If it's orange, do your homework. If it's red, you got a couple extra hours in the morning to get your homework done.
I will never repeat that to my kids.
That's right. And then Charlene Brennan, who's the executive director of IU 20, will be here at our workshop next month on March 12th. She's coming up to say hello, and at that time, you'll get your IU budgets in advance of that meeting, and then she'll take any questions about the budget at that meeting too. But I thought it'd be nice for everybody that doesn't know her to get a chance to meet her and to have her up here, because she said it's been quite a long time. So we're looking forward to having her here. And then Billy, do you want to just mention one thing? Do you want to just mention the check we got today? Yeah.
We did get our impact aid check. I'm always nervous about that, as you know. So we budgeted $700,000, and we did get it. Notice that it's coming to our bank very soon. So that's good. I mean, you don't know when the federal government's going to pass their budget. You don't know how many other areas in the United States have national lands that were taken from people or from municipalities. So I'm always glad that when I budget that, I'm always a little nervous. So we did get our number in that line item for impact aid.
And Billy's so good. He budgeted 700, and how much the check was? What? 699,000.
We did get some extra from prior years that did come in, that dribbled in. So probably 23 to 30 did it good.
Good.
And on that same topic, Tuesday, I'm in Harrisburg meeting with Senator Casey from the federal government on impact aid in Pennsylvania. There's only a handful of schools who get impact aid. And there was kind of the unofficial chairperson from Hatboro Horsham, I believe it is, down around Philadelphia. They have a naval base down there, I believe, that was closed. And he is going to be retiring, and he wants the group to get together. And Senator Casey agreed to meet with us so that we have still some sort of a connection, because he's been the go-between for years from the business managers end of it for the impact aid program. So I'll be down there Tuesday meeting with Senator Casey.
Checks in the mail.
It's electronic too, Dave, so it's good. It's like, don't have to worry about that. Not good.
Item 6 is the treasurer report. Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer report, please? Moved by Jack Fisher, second.
Second.
Second by Jack O'Leary. Discussion.
I'm sort of falling in love with the receipts on the taxes. 5 out of the 7 municipalities have exceeded the budget already.
Yeah, very happy to see that.
Delinquents, always or whatever, the delinquent taxes is always a was that gonna hit, but the other one surprised me that you hit 5 out of 7 already.
Yeah, you want to collect it under current. I realize it's going to affect your delinquent because now they're not delinquent, but boy, that current number, you're right, so it's nice to see that it's increasing, no question about it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what number Jack pulls out of his hat this year for,
The Caesar's Reserve.
right?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is adopted. Item 7 is the bills for payment. 7A is the general fund. Can I have a motion to approve? Moved by Jack Fisher, second by Pam Lutfi. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Item 8 is personnel items. Can I have a motion to approve personnel items resignations A to E, appointments A to E, request for extension of bereavement leave A to C, change of status A, change of salary A. Motion, please. Moved by Jack Fisher, second.
Second.
Second by Chuck Fight. Discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to make mention of 3 retirements. Mary Jane Gilardi is a special ed teacher in the high school, and she's been with us for 21 years. Wanda Holter is a high school guidance counselor, 25 years. And Maddie Mabel's been an IA with us for 17 years. So they're 3 long-term, very dedicated employees that we're going to miss.
Ironically, Mary Jane was my mentor, and Maddie was my instructional assistant when I was an emotional support teacher. So two near and dear to me are leaving.
So can we accept those resignations with regret?
And so, John? Yes.
Two other funds on 7.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I only said general fund, but because it's only listed on here, but it should have said cafeteria and capital reserve. And there's nothing there.
Okay. Yeah, there's no attachment.
There's no bills coming out of that fund. There's bills coming out of general fund.
This one.
Right? Yeah. There's only bills coming out of the general fund. They're paid out of the general fund.
There's no cafeteria bills and no capital reserve bills attached.
No, there are.
No, there are.
Oh, they are?
They're all one.
That's from.
Oh, they're attached to the
No,
general
it's
fund.
all-
Okay.
So you need to amend that.
No, they're all there. I have a motion on the floor right now, so we're going to go back. Okay. All right, all in favor of personnel items A, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 8 adopted. Have a motion to amend. Yes, it is. A motion to amend bills for payment, and to adopt, cafeteria fund and the capital reserve fund. Moved by Jack Fisher, second. Second by Chuck Fight.
Could you amend that for the 2014 capital reserve fund, construction fund, so?
You want to revise your motion?
I will, yes.
Please. Thank you.
We're getting into the- All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll do that again.
Let's see if the auditors pick that up.
All right, item 9 is items for approval. Having a motion to approve item 9A, the approval of additional volunteers. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by John Robleski, second. Second by Jack Fisher. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted. I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the letting of bids for 2015, 2016. Motion, please. Motion by Jack Fisher, second.
Second.
Second by Sue Casey. Discussion. Now we'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving 9B, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Item 9C is the approval of the 2015, 2016 calendar. You'll find it as an attachment in your board agenda. Motion, please.
Motion.
Motion by John Robleski, second.
Second.
Second by Jack O'Leary. Discussion. Want to explain the calendar?
I always get a little nervous when I see only 9 snow days in the schedule.
I'll tell you about this calendar. It's interesting. Labor Day is very late. Labor Day is not till the 7th of September. So while we always start in August, we will start in August, but the first day of school for kids is Monday, August 31st, because we always get one weekend before Labor Day. The 31st is very late for us. Theoretically, as late as it can get, because the 7th is as late as Labor Day can get. A shorter Christmas vacation. This year we had 2 weeks. Next year we have a little over a week. We have our spring break like we're doing this year. Typical ending on the Friday in June, on June 17th with graduation that night. We do only have 9 days, so we could pluck from somewhere if we have to, if we have used more than 9. And I'm going to ask you to approve this predominantly so that we have the Christmas vacation and the spring break on the books, because a lot of parents have been asking, because normally we do this earlier in the school year, or at least since I've been here, I've tried to do it earlier so people could book their vacations. We are in negotiations both with the support staff and the teachers, so I may come back to you in a month or two with some slight revisions. But really the revisions that we might be possibly talking about, a lot of them are more about the teacher schedule, not the kid's schedule. So it may not be reflected here. You may not see it in this schedule. But I'll get back. So what I'd ask you if you'd approve this tonight, but we may come back and change a day here or there, depending on how the negotiations go. We're having conversations with the teachers about the February parent conferences, and we're having conversations with the support staff about the Deer Day, which is Monday, November 30th. So those things are on the calendar now, but they could be in there.
Is August 31st going to be hard? That's a yes.
Yes.
Because that's what most of the parents are.
What they want to know, yeah.
Can we get that out there as soon as possible?
Yeah, and we can put this on the website tomorrow. Traditionally, what we do is if you approve it, we'll put it up the next day. We did look at starting on the 24th, but it would create havoc with the fall sports, because traditionally there's 2 weeks of what they call double sessions practice. And because Labor Day is later than normal, the PIAA moved the start date. They postponed that a week as well. So if we were to start on the 24th, there'd only be 1 week of preseason practice instead of 2. So we really put our kids at a disadvantage. But we had looked at it because we were hoping that the PIAA would allow practices to start on the 10th, but they will not. They pushed it back to the 17th. So we had everything, the whole calendar ebbs and flows. Everybody must be tied closer to Labor Day in one way or another. So, but yeah, the 31st, August 31st is solid, as is graduation on June 17th. And so is Christmas vacation and spring break. It's just some little things in between. Okay? I'm glad you brought that up so we can make a point of it on the web.
Yeah, because there's parents calling like crazy.
Well, that's it. They want to book their vacations.
Exactly. Julie's tired of you calling us. Thanks, John.
Sure.
All right, all in favor of item 9C, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Item 9D, I have the motion to approve the request for waiver of rental fees for the following organizations subject to approved insurances. Item 1 is the Cub Scout Pack 1003 to use the Dingman Delaware Middle School cafeteria and auditorium on February 2015 for their blue and gold banquet at a loss of rental fees of approximately $14.
We're with you, Zach, don't worry.
Yeah. Trying to move fast.
It's the 2-hour, Pam just said it's the 2-hour delay calls everybody's getting right now.
No, so how could John cancel school without moving his leg?
Recording it. And item 9D2 is Pike County Developmental Center to use Delaware Valley High School 11-12 cafeteria on September 12, 2015 for their turkey tray at a loss of rental fees of approximately $15. Motion by Jack Fisher, second by Chuck Pike. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted. Item 9E is the adoption of board policies 1 to 11. They are attached in the board board's agenda, and they have been put out for review on the board agenda in accordance with board policy. Motion, please. Motion. Motion by John Robleski, second. Second by Chuck Pike. Discussion. To discuss these at committee reports tonight as well. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Item 10 is other business. Members of the board first. Members of the public. With that, I will move to announcements. And I will announce that there will be an education committee meeting at 6 p.m. on March 12th in Delaware Valley Administrative Offices here. On March 12th, there will be a work session at 7 p.m. following that committee meeting, also here in the Delaware Valley Administrative Offices. And on March 19th, there will be a regular meeting of the board at 7 p.m. and that will be held in Dingman Delaware Middle School cafeteria. Motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Pam Lutfi, second.
Second.
Second by Sue Casey. Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Board is adjourned.